Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Shri Shri Radha Madhava Ashtasakis Ki Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So I'll share my screen. Is everyone able to see my screen?
Yes, Sugopi.
Thank you, Mataji. Okay, please repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So today we're reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, verse 1. And I just titled the presentation, A Glimpse into the Bhaga of Bhagavan. Bhaga means opulence. So before I begin, I would like to seek the blessings of all the devotees here. I don't consider myself senior to any of you in any way, whether it's in terms of age or spiritual advancement. So I hope that you all can tolerate me and give me blessings. So I'll recite this verse and You can repeat after me. Shri Bhagavanu Vacha
Shri Bhagavanu
Vacha
Bhuya Eva Mahabaho
Bhuya eva mahabaho
Mahabaho
Shrinu Me Paramam Vachaha
Shrinu me paramam vachaha
Yatte Ham Priyamanaya
Yatte ham
Priya
priyamanaya
Manaya
Vakshyami Hitakamyaya
Vakshyami
Vakshyami
hitakamyaya.
Hitakamyana
Shri Bhagavanu Vacha
Shri Bhagavanu Vacha
Bhuya Eva Mahabaho
Bhuya eva
Eva
mahabaho
Mahabaho
Shrinu Me Paramam Vachaha
Shrinu
Shrunu me
me
Paramam
paramam vachaha
Vachaha
Yatte Ham Priyamanaya
Yatte ham
Tim Ema
priyamanaya
Prananaya
Vakshyami Hitakamyaya
Vakshyami
Vakshami
hitakamyaya.
Hitakamyaya
Shri Bhagavanu Vacha
Shri
Sri
Bhagavanu
Bhagavanu
Vacha
Vacha
Bhuya Eva Mahabaho
Bhuya
Bhuya
eva
Eva
mahabaho
Mahabaho
Shrinu Me Paramam Vachaha
Shrinu
Shrunu me
me paramam
Paramam Vachaha
vachaha
Yatte Ham Priyamanaya
Yatte
Yatte
ham
Ham
priyamanaya
Priyamanaya
Vakshyami Hitakamyaya.
Vakshami
Vakshami
hitakamyaya.
Hitakamyaya
Would anyone like to recite the shloka?
Shri Bhagavanu Vacha
Sri
Shri
Bhagavanu
Bhagavanu Vacha
Vacha
Bhuya eva mahabaho
Bhuya
Bhuya
Eva
Eva
Mahabaho
Mahabaho
Shrinu me paramam vachaha
Shrunu me
Shrinu Me
Paramam
Paramam
Vachaha
Vachaha
Yatte ham priyamanaya
Yatte
Yatte
Ham
Ham
Priyamanaya
Priyamanaya
Vakshami hitakamyaya.
Vakshami
Vakshyami Hitakamyaya.
Hitakamyaya
Thank you, Mataji. Anyone else?
Sri Bhagavanu Vacha
Shri
Shri
Bhagavanu
Bhagavanu
Vacha
Vacha
Bhuya Eva Mahabaho
Bhuya
Bhuya eva
Eva
mahabaho
Mahabaho
Shrunu me Paramam Vachaya
Shrinu
Shrunu
me
Me
paramam
Paramam
vachaha
Vachaha
Yatte Ham Priyamanaya
Yatte
Yatte
ham
Ham
priyamanaya
Priyamanaya
Vakshami Hitakamyaya
Vakshami
Vakshyami
hitakamyaya.
Hitakamyaya.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha
Shri
Shri
Bhagavanu
Bhagavanu
Vacha
Vacha
Bhuya Eva Mahabaho
Bhuya
Bhuya
Eva
eva
Mahabaho
mahabaho
Shunu Me Paramam Vacha
Shrunu
Shrunu
Shrinu
me
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 Paramam
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 Vachaya
vachaha
Vachaha
Yatteham Priyamam Naya
Yatte
Yatte
Ham
Yatte
Ham
ham
Priyamanaya
priyamanaya
Vakshyami Hitakam Yaya
Vakshami
Vakshyami
Hitakamyaya
Hitakamyaya.
hitakamyaya.
Anyone else? Okay, then we'll do the word for word translation. I didn't include that on my PowerPoint, so I'll have to reshare my screen for database. Okay, Shri Bhagavanu Vacha.
Shri Bhagavanu
Sri
Vacha.
Bhagavanu Vacha
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said,
The
The
Supreme
Supreme
Personality
Personality
of
of
Godhead
Godhead
said,
said
Bhuyaha,
Bhuyaha
Bhuyaha,
again,
again,
again
Eva,
Eva,
Eva
certainly,
certainly,
certainly
Mahabaho,
Mahabaho,
Mahabaho
O mighty armed,
O mighty
Almighty
armed
armed,
Shrinu,
Shrinu,
Shrunu
just here,
just
just
here,
here
me,
me,
my,
my,
my
Paramam,
Paramam,
Paramam
supreme,
Supreme,
Supreme
Vachaha,
Vachaha,
Vachaha
instruction,
instruction,
instruction
Yat,
Yat,
Yat
that which,
that
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 which,
which
Te,
Te,
to you.
to you.
Aham,
Aham,
I.
I.
Priyamanaya,
Priyamanaya.
thinking you dear to me.
Thinking you dear to me.
Vakshyami,
Vakshyami.
say.
Te.
Hitakamyaya,
Hita Kamyaya.
for your benefit.
For your benefit.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Listen again, O mighty armed Arjuna, because you are my dear friend. For your benefit, I shall speak to you further, giving knowledge that is better than what I have already explained." Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Bande Shri Gurum Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanyameshwaram Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I'll read the translation one more time. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Listen again, O mighty armed Arjuna. Because you are my dear friend, for your benefit, I shall speak to you further, giving knowledge that is better than what I have already explained." Purport. The word Bhagavan is explained thus by Parashara Muni, one who is full in 6 opulences, who has full strength, full fame, wealth, knowledge, beauty, and renunciation is Bhagavan, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. While Krishna was present on this earth, he displayed all 6 opulences. Therefore, great sages like Parashara Muni have all accepted Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Srila Prabhupada discusses almost the same subject in his introduction to the Krishna book. There he says, "We have seen many rich persons, many powerful persons, many famous persons, many beautiful persons, many learned and scholarly persons, and persons in the renounced order of life, unattached to material possessions. But we have never seen anyone who is unlimitedly and simultaneously wealthy, powerful, famous, beautiful, wise, and unattached like Krishna in the history of humanity." So this is the key point. We've seen powerful people, we've seen beautiful people, but they're not simultaneously and unlimitedly full of the 6 opulences. So that's what Srila Prabhupada tells us in the introduction to the Krishna book. And he further says, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is a historical person who appeared on this earth 5,000 years ago. He stayed on this earth for 125 years and played exactly like a human being, but his activities were unparalleled. From the very moment of his appearance to the moment of his disappearance, every one of his activities is unparalleled in the history of the world. And therefore, anyone who knows that what we mean by Godhead will accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So earlier in the purport of this verse, Prabhupada said, all these sages like Parashara Muni accepted Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead because they saw that he was full in these 6 opulences and that his activities were unparalleled, like Prabhupada is saying in the Krishna book. No one is equal to the Godhead, and no one is greater than him. That is the import of the familiar saying, God is great. So now we'll look at each of the 6 opulences and discuss a few instances in Krishna's manifestation in this material world, how he displayed those 6 opulences. So firstly, we'll discuss wealth. Krishna is wealthy in many ways, but the first thing that came to mind for me is how he built this whole city of Dwaraka underwater. And it was such a rich city. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, when it explains Krishna's return from the Kurukshetra war back to Dwaraka, you see a very vivid description of the whole city of Dwaraka and how opulent it was. It says that the city of Dwarakapuri was filled with the opulences of all seasons. There were hermitages, orchards, flower gardens, parks, and reservoirs of water breeding lotus flowers all over. It's so difficult for us to find lotus flowers now, but there were lotus flowers all over, and that's one kind of opulence, is this natural beauty. And then there was architectural beauty as well. You can see all of these buildings, how beautiful they look. And the highways, subways, lanes, markets, and public meeting places were all thoroughly cleansed and then moistened with scented water. So we don't have the luxury of cleaning our roads with scented water these days, but that's what used to happen in Krishna's city. And every house was auspiciously decorated for Krishna's arrival. And there were like dancers and historians who were lined up on the lanes of the city praising Krishna. So you can see the general wealth of the city, how prosperous it was and how vibrant it was. Not only this, in a more elaborate way, we can see that Krishna built a separate palace for 16,108 queens. Each one of them had their own palace. So that shows his wealth already. He maintained all of those queens with a lot of luxury. We can see in the specific pastime where Krishna teases Rukmini, it explains that at that time Rukmini was fanning Krishna with a chamara. And the chamara was not any ordinary chamara. It had the most precious gems on the handle of the chamara. So such was the opulence of Dwaraka. And we can see that in Krishna's pastimes, even when he bestowed wealth onto other people, that's proof of how much he had himself. This is a picture of him in the Sudharma hall. It said that whoever went into that hall was free from any of the six pains of this world. But what I was saying earlier is that when we see how Krishna bestowed wealth onto his devotees, that's also evidence of how wealthy he is himself. So we can see in his childhood, there was a fruit vendor who filled up his hands with all kinds of fruits. And he just gave her a few grains, but because he was so charming, she gave him all of the fruits that she had in her basket. And when she looked, the whole basket was filled with gems and wealth. Similarly, Sudama went to visit Krishna. He was a very poor Brahmana, but then Krishna just accepted his offering of flat rice, and he gave him a great mansion and a lot of wealth. So because Krishna is full in this opulence, he's able to give that much to other people as well. The next opulence is the opulence of beauty. So we can see that Krishna is very beautiful. Krishna itself, the name means all attractive. So Krishna is the most attractive in this universe, in any universe, and that's why he's full of this opulence of beauty. There are many verses describing Krishna's beauty, but one that came to my mind is in Brahma Samhita, which particularly describes his beauty in Vrindavan. Venum kvanantam aravinda dalayataksam barhavatam samasitam buddha sundarangam Kandarpakoti kamaniya vishesha shobham govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. So here's the translation of that verse from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. He says, I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is adept in playing on his flute, with blooming eyes like lotus petals, with a head decked with peacock's feather, with the figure of beauty tinged with the hue of blue clouds, and his unique loveliness charming millions of cupids. So we often hear in various Sanskrit dramas and other Sanskrit texts how Kama is alluring all these people. Like Kamadeva even tried to allure Shiva. There's a drama called Kumara Sambhava that describes that. And then Shiva ends up marrying Parvati. But Krishna here he's more charming than millions of cupids. He has a unique loveliness. So Krishna is the most beautiful. Here's another picture of Krishna in his beauty. Then next is Krishna's strength. So Krishna from the very beginning of his pastimes here showed how powerful he is. He sucked the life air out of Putana when he was just days old. And then when the Brajavasis were in turmoil because Indra was taking revenge on them for not performing the Indra Puja, Krishna lifted the entire Govardhan mountain with the pinky finger of his left hand. So usually most people are right-handed and their left hand is weaker than their right hand. It doesn't have that much dexterity. But Krishna lifted it, and out of all fingers, our pinky is the smallest finger. But Krishna lifted the whole mountain with the pinky of his left hand. So he's showing how powerful he is and how easy it is for him to lift that mountain. And he was only 7 years old. So, and we can see in many other pastimes, like in the pastime of Dhenukasura, after Balaram killed Dhenukasura, Krishna and Balaram would just take these donkeys by the hind legs and rotate them a few times and throw them on top of the trees and they would be dead. So that also shows how powerful Krishna was. Then next is his knowledge. Krishna is the most knowledgeable person. We can see how when he went to Sandipani Muni's school, he learned all the 64 arts. As soon as he heard them, the same day, both Krishna and Balaram would become masters at that art. So, and they learned these in 64 days. Prabhupada explains in the Krishna book so many kinds of knowledge that they became well versed in, all the arts and all the sciences, he says. So some of them were singing. They even learned how to make rangolis, which I thought was interesting. Setting up stages, performing dramas, playing musical instruments like sitar and veena. They learned how to cook. They learned how to draw, how to perform magic, how to garden, and they learned many languages from many different areas. So that's the opulence of knowledge. And then the last is renunciation. So this is something that we may not commonly think of when we think of God, that he's renounced, because we just talked about how wealthy he is. So how could he be renounced? But Krishna is also renounced. We can see this particularly in the instance of him becoming Arjuna's chariot driver. He was not renowned. He was not attached to the position of being superior to everyone else and in the position of dictating to everyone what they should do. He was being dictated by Arjuna what to do in this situation, and he became his chariot driver, although he was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So these are the 6 opulences and some insights with regard to Krishna's pastimes on how he displayed them. Continuing the purport, now Krishna is instructing Arjuna in more confidential knowledge of his opulences and his work. Previously, beginning with the 7th chapter, the Lord has already explained his different energies and how they are acting. Now in this chapter, he explains his specific opulences to Arjuna. So in the 7th chapter, there's that famous verse, 7:4, Bhumirapo nalo vayu kammano buddhirevacha ahankara iti yame bhinna prakritirashtada. So in that verse, Krishna covers the whole material energy, the earth, water, fire, air, ether. These are the gross elements. And the subtle elements are mind, intelligence, and false ego. All of these are but my separated energies. That's what Krishna says. So the whole material energy is covered in that verse. And then in the next verse, Apareya Mitastvanyam, he says, but I have yet another energy that's beyond this material energy. And the living entities are a part of that energy. So that's his spiritual energy. It's the apara prakriti, and the material energy is the para prakriti. And then he also says that in verse 7 of the 7th chapter, that, O conqueror of wealth, there's no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me as pearls are strung on the thread. So everything that exists is an energy of Krishna. Krishna is the master of everything. And he also tells us about some specific opulences that he has, like he's the taste of water, he's the light of the sun and the moon, etc. But he doesn't elaborate so much in the 7th chapter. So in this 10th chapter and the coming verses, we see many of Krishna's opulences in this material world. He also tells us in the 7th chapter that by taking shelter of him, we can cross over this material energy. Daivi hiesha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya mamevaye prapadyante maya metam tarantite. So Prabhupada continues, in the previous chapter, he has clearly explained his different energies to establish devotion in firm conviction. Again, in this chapter, he tells Arjuna about his manifestations and various opulences. The more one hears about the Supreme God, the more one becomes fixed in devotional service. One should always hear about the Lord in the association of devotees. That will enhance one's devotional service. So we should always make sure that we hear in the association of devotees. When we hear in association, we get inspiration and motivation to be determined in our Shravanam. Otherwise, it becomes very difficult to just do it by yourself. At least for myself, I start to lose the understanding of why I'm doing what I'm doing and start to lose the motivation. So that's why having devotee association and hearing about Krishna is very essential. Prabhupada makes another point which is interesting. So here he said that we should always associate with devotees and hear about Krishna. But then he says, discourses in the society of devotees can take place only amongst those who are really anxious to be in Krishna consciousness. Others cannot take part in such discourses. The Lord clearly tells Arjuna that because Arjuna is very dear to him, for his benefit, such discourses are taking place. So even in the society of devotees, this is how I understood it. Maybe it's incorrect. Someone can tell me later. But how I understood it is that even in the society of devotees, we should choose the association of devotees who are very anxious to be in Krishna consciousness, who are very serious devotees. We have to make sure that we associate with such devotees so that they can help us to go in the right direction, so that they can inspire us. And to hear Krishna Katha like this, we need a taste. Without a taste, we can't continue hearing. So in this regard, I was reminded of a shloka from the Srimad Bhagavatam, where the sages say, Vayam tuna vitrapyama uttama shloka vikrame yatrinvatam rasajnanam swadu swadu pade pade. We never tire of hearing the transcendental pastimes of the personality of Godhead, who is glorified by hymns and prayers. Those who have developed a taste for transcendental relationships with him relish hearing of his pastimes at every moment. So these are the kinds of devotees that we should associate with. They relish hearing Krishna's pastimes at every moment. They've developed the taste. They're called rasagnyas, people who know rasa. Rasa means, there's no good English translation for rasa, but it's like juice or taste or mellow. So they've tasted the mellows of Krishna's pastimes, and they give that to each other when they hear Krishna's pastimes with company. We can see that even Parikshit Maharaj, even though he was the main hearer of the Srimad Bhagavatam, he wasn't the only one there. There was in the picture we see Narada Muni, we see many other prominent personalities. So even in that setting, it was a group of devotees hearing about Krishna's pastimes, not just one person. And another point that Prabhupada highlights is that the Lord is telling this to Arjuna. He's telling him of his opulences because Arjuna is very dear to him. In the verse, the words were hita kamyaya. So Krishna, hita means welfare and kama means desire. So out of a desire for Arjuna's welfare, Krishna is giving him all of this information. So that's all I had to share about this verse. Are there any questions or comments? Okay, if there are no questions or comments, then I guess we can end here. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. Wonderful, the wonderful class, Sugopi. I really loved all the examples you gave of the 6 opulences. That's very nice, thoughtful.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say as well. Very good class.
Thank you.
Sugopi, your class was excellent. I had just 2 points to add. I was thinking when you were giving about the wealth of Krishna, how he transforms Sudama's meager, place of living to a palace when he went back. Krishna was able to transform his dwelling into a big palace. That's one example. And then in Brahma Samhita says Krishna about Lakshmi Sahasra Sata Sambrama Sevi Manam. So he's always associated, or I don't know what word to say, but he's always surrounded by Lakshmis who are so wealthy, and his wife is also very wealthy. So he's naturally wealthy.
Yes, good point, Mataji. People, if you have a good wife, you have all the wealth.
Right.
Yeah, hundreds of Lakshmis. Lakshmi herself is the goddess of wealth, and Krishna has hundreds of Lakshmis serving him.
And also about his attractiveness or his beauty, Krishna is so attractive to himself. He appreciates even he wants to look at himself, and he's so enchanted by that. He wants to look at his own image. And the gopis who look at Krishna, they don't even want to blink even once. They curse Brahma, saying, "You gave me these eyelids, because of which I have to stop seeing Krishna momentarily." That's how beautiful he is also.
Yes, very good points, Mataji.
You can add to your PowerPoint, Sugopi, all these
Yes.
multifarious points.
And then I should associate with Geeta Mala more. She has the taste for hearing all the lectures. She doesn't miss one class. So she's one of those examples right in our congregation.
That's because I'm a dull person, Maltipriya. I have to learn from all of you, I don't have a good memory. I don't have anything to speak of. So I have to hear every day to at least absorb something.
I'm learning from you, Gittamala Mataji.
And look at the brave warrior lady speaking,
Geeta Mala Mataji is the Shravanam champion.
Little by little, Sugopi.
Anyone else has any comments?
Hare Krishna, Sugopi.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, it was nice. I was also thinking in the 9th chapter also, some of the opulences are mentioned. I believe Aham Kraturaham Yagna. He mentions few of them in chapter 9 as well. I just wanted to mention that.
Yes, I didn't think of that, but that's a good point. I guess there's like split throughout the Gita, but the 10th chapter has a lot almost entirely.
Yeah, yeah. So he starts 7th chapter like that, and then 8th chapter is a detour for specific question that Arjuna asks, and then in 9th chapter it kind of comes back to mentioning his opulences, Mayattamidam sarvam janam yat murtina. So it kind of continues like that, and then does devotional aspect, and then again in the 10th comes back the same theme.
Yes.
Prabhu or somebody else, can you please elaborate on renunciation? Like what exactly, how is Krishna renunciated? Like, of course, she gave me an example, but other than that, his going as a messenger to the Pandavas is also an example, is it?
That was a good example, Sugopi, that, yeah, he's so renounced that he's willing to be his devotee's charioteer.
That's the only one I could think of, Mataji. But Malati Priya Mataji's is good as well because he had to assume a humble position with the Kauravas who were very proud and they didn't want to compromise whatsoever.
And when you think of renunciation, it's not just taking a humble position. Yeah, that of course is for the Supreme Personality to take a very humble position is renunciation too. But when he leaves Vrindavan, they're his dearmost devotees, and he goes to Mathura and he doesn't return. He's very attached to them. He cries in the night. We have that story where he's so attached to them, but still he doesn't let his attachment stand in the way of his whatever he has to do as his dharma. So as a Supreme Personality of God, he upholds dharma and he's an example for everybody. So he even leaves his closest devotees. That's also renunciation. And he goes to a place where he has to perform his leela. So he's not attached to one place or one devotee or one thing. He's equal to everybody.
That has always been a difficult concept to understand for me, Krishna leaving Vrindavan and never going back.
Yeah, very, very difficult, Sugopi. I can never begin
I never
to
thought of
understand
it the
that.
way Sudevi Priya Mataji is thinking of it, but that's a nice perspective. Nice way to understand that. I always thought of it like I never thought of it as Krishna suffering. I thought of it as the residents of Vrindavan suffering because of him. So
I know, but at the same time, in separation, they are getting greater ecstasy. That part is even more difficult to understand. But it is a renunciation. He does uphold his own dharma and gives up anything for his own.
I believe in the pastime of rasa dance, when Krishna leaves the gopis, when they become a little proud that Krishna is with us, and Krishna leaves the rasa dance, I believe even in that context, Srila Prabhupada explains it as a renunciation of Krishna because he was not after them, he was fulfilling their desires. So he just leaves the rasa dance. That was also, a demonstration of his renunciation. And I was also thinking of, I don't think Prabhupada mentions it, but it just occurred to me when the Shamantaka jewel, when he finds out Akrura has it, and Akrura brings it, and he says, you can keep it. And Krishna lets Akrura keep that jewel.
Even before that, also he went through great pains to find it and give it to Satrajit again also.
Yes. He gives it to Satrajit and later he lets Akrura have it. So these are also, interesting pastimes because he was like, oh, this is producing a lot of stuff, I will keep it. So you're right, even though he he brought it, he gave it back to what Satrajit, and then later even Akrura, he says, I just want to, make sure that citizens knows that we have it here, because they were all worried that there'll be drought in the town. So he will have him show it and let him keep it.
Is that
So-
okay, Malati Priya Mataji?
Yes, Mataji. And then I remember in other incarnations also as Lord Ram, when he was separated from Sita, he would live a very simple life without her. He would not enjoy the opulences, and that's also, I think, is a sign of renunciation.
Yes.
And then the whole 10th chapter said, all this is but just a glimpse of his splendor.
Yeah, and Sugopi, the point you mentioned at the beginning, two features, simultaneous and unlimited. I think this aspect of simultaneousness probably, is displayed only in Krishna in the Swayam Bhagavan feature. The reason I'm thinking is different incarnations manifested different things. But when Krishna came himself, he sort of manifested all of those. He manifested his beauty, his power, his renunciation, all of them kind of brought together in one, in one form. I think that's.
But you
also
can say even Rama was like that, Prabhu. How was he different? Like Rama was also
No,
beautiful.
I think the word here is in full. All opulences, maybe other avatars did it too, but in full, maximum amount.
For
in fact-
instance, Krishna's beauty was available, to many, many gopis, but in Lord Rama's pastime, it was a little bit not fully available. And even
But
in terms
don't
of,
you think? But he was so beautiful that all the rishis were attracted to him, and that's why Rama said, "In my next incarnation, I'll see you as gopis," like that. So he was so beautiful that men were attracted towards Rama. So I guess I don't want to give up on Rama yet.
what I wanted to say is the full experience, right? It's there, but in a covered form. But in terms of being available, simultaneous presence of all of those.
Yeah, I think Jiva Mataji has said one time that all the avatars are in Krishna, that they all of the avatars reside in Krishna when he comes down to earth here as an avatar.
Yes, I don't know, the word Akhila Rasa Murti is applicable to all avatars.
I remember her saying one time.
There's a verse in
I don't know if she's
Nectar
on.
of Devotion, where Krishna is described as Akhila Rasa Murti, where, and interesting thing is he has different parties under his control, right? There's Radharani, there's Chandravali, there's Palika, the different groups competing for Krishna, but he manages all of them at the same time.
Expert.
Yeah.
Jiva is on, I think, but I don't know if she's hearing.
Mataji, do you have any comments? Jiva Mataji. I did find this. When Krishna appears, all his plenary expansions appear with him.
Mm.
This is also from the Krishna book.
Mm-hmm.
So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also Bhagavan, right? So does he also have all these opulences?
But he's a Channa avatar, right? So he.
But
he
you know
doesn't
that he is God now, that you know him.
He
I'll let
does.
my dad answer the
Sundari Radhika is saying when Mahaprabhu, the shaving pastime was such a heartbreaking thing for so many people. the barber took a vow that he'll never shave anybody else.
He was so beautiful. Right?
Yeah. But I think primarily he came to give two aspects, Vairagya and Vidya. He manifested, knowledge as well as renunciation more. He came to give devotion, Vairagya Vidya, Nija Bhakti Yogam, Shikshartam Eka Purusha Purana. So besides bhakti, at least in these two, opulence and renunciation are mentioned. He came to teach those two, and he kind of manifested those two, his learning and his renunciation, particularly, besides the bhakti.
Thanks,
He
Prabhu. I
has-
think I remember reading that from Prabhupada also. Yeah.
Yeah, so he has all, but he kind of manifested those, predominantly.
Okay, maybe if no one has anything else, we can stop here. Thank you so much, everyone, for
I
bearing with
just
me.
wanted to say
One check.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
It's been a
Krishna.
while. I'm glad to be back. I thought the meetings weren't happening again. That's why I never showed up. But
I
it's good
know,
to
we
be back.
missed you. I was wondering, where's Kwaku Prabhu?
I think I misunderstood a conversation I had with Ganpati, and I thought, we're only doing the Wednesday indoor.
Hare
Well,
Krishna,
they-
Prabhu. I think, I did mention that we will not have the classes, but the culprit is Gita Mala Mataji. She pushed us so hard that she wants to have these classes that we had to have these classes.
Oh, wow. I should have got a text earlier.
I know, Kwaku, I couldn't do without my drug every evening.
I know.
I
Like,
needed my
missed it
drug.
too. I missed it too. Scrambling around online for all kinds of places to find, some place to associate. But I'm glad, that I found out that we're back, and I will be attending.
Very
I
good.
wa- I
Very
was
good.
surprised. I was surprised as well when I did not see him. So I was like, what happened to
I
him?
was like, you know
I
what?
know.
I texted him 2 days ago.
Oh, good.
Yes, I responded today, and I responded to Jiva's text as well. That's how I found out that meetings are still going on Zoom.
Very good. We're glad to have you back.
Yeah, and I'm glad to be here. It's it's great to at least come in and chant and hear. It's refreshing. Refreshing is the word. for me.
Yeah, if I don't have this, I will do some nonsense in the evening. So I needed somebody to keep me straightened up.
Right. And Sugopi, good job today. Good job.
Thank you. I'm glad that you liked it.
Glad to be back. So we're doing Monday to Fridays again, 7 p.m. same time, right?
I think
Correct.
so.
Yeah.
How's
Thank you,
everybody doing?
Sugopi.
Everybody been doing great?
I'm
is that
doing
for-
okay. I don't know about other people.
Ganpati, it was good to hear your voice again, bro.
The feeling
Doing
is
good?
mutual, Prabhu. It's a pleasure to hear your voice. I was thinking to text you to check with you what happened. Where are you? I didn't see you in the temple also, but good to have you back.
My plan was, you know what, I just have to make time and come on Sundays since we weren't holding meetings. But now that I know, you see me every evening, as usual.
Sugopi, one last point. Rama also left to the forest, that's a sign of a renunciate.
Yes, Mataji. It's a big drastic difference in lifestyle from
Yeah,
a
for
palace to a
coordination,
forest.
yeah.
Okay, so we'll stop here. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripasindubhyaya patitanam pavanebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo Namah Anantakoti Vaishnavaki Jai Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai Her Grace Sugopi Mataji Ki Jai
Srila Prabhupada ki.
Hare
Jai.
Krishna, everyone.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.